Ki Tavo, Ki Thavo, Ki Tabo, Ki Tabo, or Ki Savo, Hebrew for when you enter, the second and third words, and the first distinctive words, in the parashah, is the 50th weekly Torah portion, Hebrew, parashah, in the annual Jewish cycle of Torah reading in the 7th in the Book of Deuteronomy. It constitutes Deuteronomy 26:1, 29:8. The parashah tells of the ceremony of the first fruits, Hebrew, bikkurim, tithes, and the blessings from observance and curses, Hebrew, tocheichah, from violation of the law. The parashah is made up of 6,811 Hebrew letters, 1,747 Hebrew words, 122 verses, and 261 lines in a Torah Scroll, Hebrew, Sefer Torah. Jews generally read it in September, or rarely in late August. In traditional Sabbath Torah reading, the parashah is divided into 7 readings, Hebrew, Haliot. In the Masoretic text of the Tanakh, Hebrew Bible, parashah Ki Savo has 4 open portion, Hebrew, parashah, divisions, roughly equivalent to paragraphs, often abbreviated with the Hebrew letter Hebrew, peh. Parashah Ki Savo has several further subdivisions, called closed portion, Hebrew, satuma, divisions, abbreviated with the Hebrew letter Hebrew, somek, within the open portion divisions. The first open portion spans the first 3 readings. The second open portion contains all of the 4th and 5th readings and part of the 6th reading. The third open portion constitutes the balance of the 6th reading, which enumerates a series of curses. The 4th open portion is identical with the 7th reading. Closed portion divisions coincide with the first 2 readings. Closed portion divisions further divide the 4th, 5th, and 6th readings, and a string of 11 closed portion divisions set off a series of curses in the 5th reading. In the first reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses directed the Israelites that when they entered the land that God was giving them, they were to take some of every first fruit of the soil that they harvested, put it in a basket, and take it to the place God would choose. There they were to go to the priest in charge and acknowledge that they had entered the land that God swore to their fathers. The priest was to set the basket down in front of the altar. They were then to recite, "A wandering Aramean was my father, and he went down into Egypt, and sojourned there, few in number, and he became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous. And the Egyptians dealt ill with us, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And we cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice, and saw our affliction, and our toil, and our oppression. And the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. And he has brought us into this place, and has given us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first of the fruit of the land, that you, O Lord, have given me." They were to leave the basket before the altar, bow low to God, and then feast on and enjoy, together with the Levite and the stranger, the bounty that God had given them. The first reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, and a closed portion, Hebrew, satuma, end here. In the second reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses instructed that when the Israelites had given the 10th part of their yield to the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, in the 3rd year, the year of the tithe, they were to declare before God, "I have put away the hallowed things out of my house, and also have given them to the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, according to your commandment that you have commanded me. I have not transgressed any of your commandments, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten thereof in my mourning, neither have I put away thereof, being unclean, nor given thereof for the dead. I have hearkened to the voice of the Lord my God, I have done according to all that you have commanded me. Look from your holy habitation, from heaven, and bless your people Israel, and the land that you have given us, as you swore to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey." The second reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, and a closed portion, Hebrew, satuma, end here. In the third reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses exhorted the Israelites to observe these laws faithfully with all their heart and soul, noting that they had affirmed that the Lord was their God and that they would obey God. And God affirmed that the Israelites were God's treasured people, and that God would set them high above all the nations in fame and glory, and that they would be a holy people to God. The third reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, and the first open portion, Hebrew, parashah, end here with the end of chapter 26. In the fourth reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses, and the elders charged the people that as soon as they had crossed the Jordan River, they were to set up large stones on Mount Ebal, coat them with plaster, and inscribe on them all the words of the Torah. There they were also to build an altar to God made of stones on which no iron tool had struck, and they were to offer on it offerings to God and rejoice. A closed portion, Hebrew, Satuma, ends here with Deuteronomy 27:8. In the continuation of the reading, Moses and the priests told all Israel to hear, they had become the people of God, and should heed God and observe God's commandments. The fourth reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, and a closed portion, Hebrew, Satuma, end here. In the fifth reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses charged the people that after they had crossed the Jordan, the tribes of Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Joseph, and Benjamin were to stand on Mount Gerizim when the blessings were spoken, and the tribes of Reuben, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali were to stand on Mount Ebal when the curses were spoken. The Levites were then to loudly curse anyone who made a sculptured image, insulted father or mother, moved a fellow countryman's landmark, misdirected a blind person, subverted the rights of the stranger, the fatherless, or the widow, lay with his father's wife, lay with any beast, lay with his sister, lay with his mother-in-law, struck down his fellow countryman in secret, accepted a bribe in a murder case, or otherwise would not observe the commandments, and for each curse all the people were to say, Amen. 11 Closed portion, Hebrew, Satuma, divisions set apart each of the curses, and the curses bring chapter 27 to an end. In the continuation of the reading, Moses taught that, on the other hand, if the Israelites obeyed God and observed faithfully all the commandments, then God would set them high above all the nations of the earth, bless them in the city and the country, bless the issue of their wombs, the produce of their soil, and the fertility of their herds and flocks, bless their basket and their kneading bowl, and bless them in their comings and goings. The fifth reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, ends here. In the sixth reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses continued that if the Israelites obeyed God and observed faithfully all the commandments, then God would rout their enemies, bless them upon their barns and all their undertakings, bless them in the land, establish them as God's holy people, give them abounding prosperity, provide rain in season, and make them the head and not the tail. The second open portion, Hebrew, Patucha, ends here. In the continuation of the reading, Moses taught that if they did not obey God and observe faithfully the commandments, then God would curse them in the city and the country, curse their basket and kneading bowl, curse the issue of their womb, the produce of their soil, and the fertility of their herds and flocks, curse them in their comings and goings, loose on them calamity, panic, and frustration in all their enterprises, make pestilence cling to them, strike them with tuberculosis, fever, inflammation, scorching heat, drought, blight, and mildew, turn the skies into copper and the earth into iron, make the rain into dust, rout them before their enemies, and strike them with the Egyptian inflammation, hemorrhoids, boil scars, itch, madness, blindness, and dismay. If they paid the bride price for a wife, another man would enjoy her. If they built a house, they would not live in it. If they planted a vineyard, they would not harvest it. Their oxen would be slaughtered before their eyes, but they would not eat of it. Their donkey would be seized and not returned. Their flock would be delivered to their enemies. Their sons and daughters would be delivered to another people, a people they did not know would eat the produce of their soil. They would be abused and downtrodden continually, until they were driven mad. God would afflict them at the knees and thighs with a severe inflammation. God would drive them to an unknown nation, where they would serve other gods, of wood and stone, and they would be a byword among all the peoples. Locusts would consume their seed, worms would devour their vineyards, the olives would drop off their olive trees, their sons and daughters would go into captivity, the cricket would take over all the trees and produce of their land, the stranger in their midst would rise above them, the stranger would be their creditor, and the stranger would be the head and they the tail. Because they would not serve God in joy over abundance, they would have to serve in hunger, thirst, and nakedness, the enemies whom God would let loose against them. God would bring against them a ruthless nation from afar, whose language they would not understand, to devour their cattle and produce of their soil and to shut them up in their towns until every mighty wall in which they trusted had come down. And when they were shut up under siege, they would eat the flesh of their sons and daughters. God would inflict extraordinary plagues and diseases on them until they would have a scant few left, for as God once delighted in making them prosperous and many, so would God delight in causing them to perish and diminish. God would scatter them among all the peoples from one end of the earth to the other, but even among those nations, they would find no place to rest. In the morning they would say, if only it were evening, and in the evening they would say, if only it were morning. God would send them back to Egypt in galleys and they would offer themselves for sale as slaves, but none would buy. The long closed portion, Hebrew, Satuma, of the curses ends here. The reading concludes with a summary statement that this is the covenant that God commanded Moses to make with the Israelites in Moab, in addition to the covenant that God made with the Israelites at Horeb, Mount Sinai. The sixth reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, and the third open portion, Hebrew, Tocheichah, end here with the end of chapter 28. In the seventh reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, Moses reminded the Israelites that they had seen all that God did to Pharaoh in Egypt, yet they did not yet understand. Moses led them through the wilderness 40 years, their clothes and sandals did not wear out, and they survived without bread to eat and wine to drink, so that they might know that the Lord was their God. In the Maftir, Hebrew, reading of Deuteronomy 29:6-8 that concludes the parashah, Moses recounted that the Israelites defeated King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan, took their land, and gave it to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Therefore, Moses urged them to observe faithfully all the commandments, that they might succeed in all that they undertook. The seventh reading, Hebrew, Aliyah, the fourth open portion, Hebrew, Tocheichah, and the parashah end here. Jews who read the Torah according to the triennial cycle of Torah reading read the parashah according to the following schedule. The parashah has parallels in these ancient sources. Deuteronomy 27:3, as well as Exodus 3:8 and 17, 13:5, and 33:3, Leviticus 20:24, Numbers 13:27, and 14:8, and Deuteronomy 6:3, 11:9, 26:9 and 15, and 31:20, describes the land of Israel as a land flowing with milk and honey. Similarly, the Middle Egyptian, early 2nd millennium BCE, tale of Sinuah Palestine described the land of Israel, or, as the Egyptian tale called it, the land of Yah. It was a good land called Yah. Figs were in it and grapes. It had more wine than water. Abundant was its honey, plentiful its oil. All kind of fruit were on its trees. Barley was there in ember, and no end of cattle of all kinds. The parashah has parallels or is discussed in these biblical sources. Professor Benjamin Sommer of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America argued that Deuteronomy 12-26 borrowed whole sections from the earlier text of Exodus 21-23. Deuteronomy 26:1-11 set out the ceremony for the bringing of the first fruits, Hebrew, bikkurim. Exodus 34:22, in turn, associates the festival of Shavuot with the first fruits, Hebrew, bikkurim, of the wheat harvest. In the Hebrew Bible, Shavuot is called the Feast of Weeks, Hebrew, Chag Shavuot. The day of the first fruits, Hebrew, Yom HaBikkurim. The Feast of Harvest, Hebrew, Chag HaKatzar, and a holy convocation, Hebrew, Mikra Kodesh. To arrive at the correct date, Leviticus 23:15 instructs counting 7 weeks from the day after the day of rest of Passover, the day that they brought the sheaf of barley for waving. Similarly, Deuteronomy 16:9 directs counting 7 weeks from when they first put the sickle to the standing barley. Leviticus 23:16-19 sets out a course of offerings for the 50th day, including a meal offering of 2 loaves made from fine flour from the first fruits of the harvest, burnt offerings of 7 lambs, 1 bullock, and 2 rams, a sin offering of a goat, and a peace offering of 2 lambs. Similarly, Numbers 28:26-30 sets out a course of offerings including a meal offering, burnt offerings of 2 bullocks, 1 ram, and 7 lambs, and 1 goat to make atonement. Deuteronomy 16:10 directs a free will offering in relation to God's blessing. Leviticus 23:21 and Numbers 28:26 ordain a holy convocation in which the Israelites were not to work. 2 Chronicles 8:13 reports that Solomon offered burnt offerings on the Feast of Weeks. The discussion of the dead and the profession associated with tithing, Deuteronomy 26:13-14, is one of a series of passages setting out the teaching that contact with the dead is antithetical to purity. In Leviticus 21:15, God instructed Moses to direct the priests not to allow themselves to become defiled by contact with the dead, except for a mother, father, son, daughter, brother, or unmarried sister. And the priests were not to engage in mourning rituals of making baldness upon their heads, shaving off the corners of their beards, or cutting their flesh. In Numbers 5:1-4, God instructed Moses to command the Israelites to put out of the camp every person defiled by contact with the dead, so that they would not defile their camps, in the midst of which God dwelt. Numbers 19 sets out a procedure for a red cow mixture for decontamination from corpse contamination. In its profession associated with tithing, Deuteronomy 26:13-14 instructed Israelites to aver that they had not eaten from the tithe in mourning, nor put away any of it while unclean, nor given any of it to the dead. In Ezekiel 43:6-9, the prophet Ezekiel cites the burial of kings within the temple as one of the practices that defiled the temple and caused God to abandon it. Deuteronomy 27:3, as well as Exodus 3:8 and 17, 13:5, and 33:3, Leviticus 20:24, Numbers 13:27, and 14:8, and Deuteronomy 6:3, 11:9, 26:9 and 15, and 31:20, describes the land of Israel as a land flowing with milk and honey. Similarly, the Middle Egyptian, early 2nd millennium BCE, tale of Sinuhe Palestine described the land of Israel, or, as the Egyptian tale called it, the land of Yab. It was a good land called Yab. Figs were in it and grapes. It had more wine than water. Abundant was its honey, plentiful its oil. All kind of fruit were on its trees. Barley was there in emmer, and no end of cattle of all kinds. The exhortation of Deuteronomy 28:9 to walk in God's ways echoes God's injunction to Abraham in Genesis 17:1 and reflects a recurring theme in the discourse of Moses in Deuteronomy 5:30, 8:6, 10:12, 11:22, 19:9, 26:17, and 30:16. While Leviticus 12:6-8 required a new mother to bring a burnt offering and a sin offering, Leviticus 26:9, Deuteronomy 28:11, and Psalm 127:3-5 make clear that having children is a blessing from God. Genesis 15:2 and 1 Samuel 1:5-11 characterized childlessness as a misfortune, and Leviticus 20:20 and Deuteronomy 28:18 threaten childlessness as a punishment. The curses in Deuteronomy 28:15-68 run in parallel with the tocheichah curses of Leviticus 26:14-38. Deuteronomy 28:22 warned, "The Lord will strike you with blight and mildew," Hebrew, Vashdafan Uvayarakan. And in Amos 4:9, the 8th century BC prophet Amos condemned the people of Israel for not returning to God after God scourged you with blight and mildew, Hebrew, Vashdafan Uvayarakan. Deuteronomy 28:62 foretold that the Israelites would be reduced in number after having been as numerous as the stars, echoing God's promise in Genesis 15:5 that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven. Similarly, in Genesis 22:17, God promised that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands on the seashore. In Genesis 26:4, God reminded Isaac that God had promised Abraham that God would make his heirs as numerous as the stars. In Genesis 32:13, Jacob reminded God that God had promised that Jacob's descendants would be as numerous as the sands. In Exodus 32:13, Moses reminded God that God had promised to make the patriarchs' descendants as numerous as the stars. In Deuteronomy 1:10, Moses reported that God had multiplied the Israelites until they were then as numerous as the stars. And in Deuteronomy 10:22, Moses reported that God had made the Israelites as numerous as the stars. The parashah has parallels or is discussed in these early non-rabbinic sources. Deuteronomy 27:3, as well as Exodus 3:8 and 17, 13:5, and 33:3, Leviticus 20:24, Numbers 13:27, and 14:8, and Deuteronomy 6:3, 11:9, 26:9 and 15, and 31:20, describes the land of Israel as a land flowing with milk and honey. Similarly, the Middle Egyptian, early 2nd millennium BCE, tale of Sinuhe Palestine described the land of Israel, or, as the Egyptian tale called it, the land of Yab. It was a good land called Yab. Figs were in it and grapes. It had more wine than water. Abundant was its honey, plentiful its oil. All kind of fruit were on its trees. Barley was there in emmer, and no end of cattle of all kinds. The exhortation of Deuteronomy 28:9 to walk in God's ways echoes God's injunction to Abraham in Genesis 17:1 and reflects a recurring theme in the discourse of Moses in Deuteronomy 5:30, 8:6, 10:12, 11:22, 19:9, 26:17, and 30:16. While Leviticus 12:6-8 required a new mother to bring a burnt offering and a sin offering, Leviticus 26:9, Deuteronomy 28:11, and Psalm 127:3-5 make clear that having children is a blessing from God. Genesis 15:2 and 1 Samuel 1:5-11 characterized childlessness as a misfortune, and Leviticus 20:20 and Deuteronomy 28:18 threatened childlessness as a punishment. The curses in Deuteronomy 28:15-68 run in parallel with the tocheichah curses of Leviticus 26:14-38. Deuteronomy 28:22 warned, "The Lord will strike you with blight and mildew," Hebrew, Vashdafan Uve'arakan. And in Amos 4:9, the 8th century BC prophet Amos condemned the people of Israel for not returning to God after God scourged you with blight and mildew, Hebrew, Vashidafan Uve'arakan. Deuteronomy 28:62 foretold that the Israelites would be reduced in number after having been as numerous as the stars, echoing God's promise in Genesis 15:5 that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven. Similarly, in Genesis 22:17, God promised that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands on the seashore. In Genesis 26:4, God reminded Isaac that God had promised Abraham that God would make his heirs as numerous as the stars. In Genesis 32:13, Jacob reminded God that God had promised that Jacob's descendants would be as numerous as the sands. In Exodus 32:13, Moses reminded God that God had promised to make the patriarchs' descendants as numerous as the stars. In Deuteronomy 1:10, Moses reported that God had multiplied the Israelites until they were then as numerous as the stars. And in Deuteronomy 10:22, Moses reported that God had made the Israelites as numerous as the stars. The parashah is discussed in these rabbinic sources from the era of the Mishnah and the Talmud. Professor Benjamin Sommer of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America argued that Deuteronomy 12-26 borrowed whole sections from the earlier text of Exodus 21-23. Deuteronomy 27:3, as well as Exodus 3:8 and 17, 13:5, and 33:3, Leviticus 20:24, Numbers 13:27, and 14:8, and Deuteronomy 6:3, 11:9, 26:9 and 15, and 31:20, describes the land of Israel as a land flowing with milk and honey. Similarly, the Middle Egyptian, early 2nd millennium BCE, tale of Sinuah Palestine described the land of Israel, or, as the Egyptian tale called it, the land of Yab. It was a good land called Yab. Figs were in it and grapes. It had more wine than water. Abundant was its honey, plentiful its oil. All kind of fruit were on its trees. Barley was there in ember, and no end of cattle of all kinds. The exhortation of Deuteronomy 28:9 to walk in God's ways echoes God's injunction to Abraham in Genesis 17:1 and reflects a recurring theme in the discourse of Moses in Deuteronomy 5:30, 8:6, 10:12, 11:22, 19:9, 26:17, and 30:16. While Leviticus 12:6-8 required a new mother to bring a burnt offering and a sin offering, Leviticus 26:9, Deuteronomy 28:11, and Psalm 127:3-5 make clear that having children is a blessing from God. Genesis 15:2 and 1 Samuel 1:5-11 characterized childlessness as a misfortune, and Leviticus 20:20 and Deuteronomy 28:18 threatened childlessness as a punishment. The curses in Deuteronomy 28:15-68 run in parallel with the tocheichah curses of Leviticus 26:14-38. Deuteronomy 28:22 warned, "The Lord will strike you with blight and mildew," Hebrew, Vashdafan Uve'arakan. And in Amos 4:9, the 8th century BC prophet Amos condemned the people of Israel for not returning to God after God scourged you with blight and mildew, Hebrew, Vashidafan Uve'arakan. Deuteronomy 28:62 foretold that the Israelites would be reduced in number after having been as numerous as the stars, echoing God's promise in Genesis 15:5 that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven. Similarly, in Genesis 22:17, God promised that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands on the seashore. In Genesis 26:4, God reminded Isaac that God had promised Abraham that God would make his heirs as numerous as the stars. In Genesis 32:13, Jacob reminded God that God had promised that Jacob's descendants would be as numerous as the sands. In Exodus 32:13, Moses reminded God that God had promised to make the patriarchs' descendants as numerous as the stars. In Deuteronomy 1:10, Moses reported that God had multiplied the Israelites until they were then as numerous as the stars. And in Deuteronomy 10:22, Moses reported that God had made the Israelites as numerous as the stars. Reading Deuteronomy 29:4, your clothes have not grown old on you. Rabbi Jose bar Anina taught that the clothes that the Israelites wore did not wear out, but those that they packed away in their trunks did. Alternatively, Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Simeon ben Yoai, asked his father-in-law Rabbi Simeon ben Jose whether the Israelites had not taken with them leather garments into the wilderness, which would wear out. Rabbi Simeon ben Jose replied that the clothes that they wore were those with which the ministering angels had invested them at Mount Sinai, and therefore they did not grow old. Rabbi Eliezer asked whether the Israelites did not grow so that the clothes became too small for them. Rabbi Simeon ben Jose replied that one should not wonder at this, for when a snail grows, its shell grows with it. Rabbi Eliezer asked whether the clothes did not need washing. Rabbi Simeon ben Jose replied that the pillar of cloud rubbed against them and whitened them. Rabbi Eliezer asked whether they were not scorched, as the cloud consisted of fire. Rabbi Simeon ben Jose replied that one should not wonder at this, as amianthus, a kind of asbestos, is cleansed only by fire, and as their clothes were made in heaven, the cloud rubbed against them without damaging them. Rabbi Eliezer asked whether vermin did not breed in the clothes. Rabbi Simeon ben Jose replied that if in their death no worm could touch the Israelites, how much less could vermin in their lifetime? Rabbi Eliezer asked whether they did not smell because of perspiration. Rabbi Simeon ben Jose replied that they used to play with the sweet-scented grass around the well, as Song 4:11 says, and the smell of your garments is like the smell of Lebanon. Rabbi Eliezer interpreted the words, keep therefore the words of this covenant, and make them, in Deuteronomy 29:8 to teach that Scripture regards one who teaches Torah to a neighbor's child as though he himself had created the words of the Torah. As it is written. Rabbi Joshua ben Levi noted that the promise of Deuteronomy 29:8 that whoever studies the Torah prospers materially is written in the Torah, the prophets, Hebrew, Nevi'im, and the writings, Hebrew, Ketuvim. In the Torah, Deuteronomy 29:8 says, observe therefore the words of this covenant, and do them, that you may make all that you do to prosper. It is repeated in the prophets in Joshua 1:8, this book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein, for then you shall make your ways prosperous, and then you shall have good success. And it is mentioned a third time in the writings in Psalm 1:2-3, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law does he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither, and in whatever he does he shall prosper. Rabbi Barakiah interpreted Lamentations 3:1, I am the man, Hebrew, Jever, who has seen affliction by the rod of his wrath, to mean that God strengthened the writer, writing for the people of God, to withstand all afflictions, interpreting Hebrew, Jever, man, to mean Hebrew, Jiber, strong man. Rabbi Barakiah noted that after the 98 reproofs in Deuteronomy 28:15-68, Deuteronomy 29:9 says, you are standing this day all of you, which Rabbi Barakiah taught we render, according to Onkelos, you endure this day all of you, and thus to mean, you are strong men to withstand all these reproofs. The parashah is discussed in these medieval Jewish sources. Professor Benjamin Sommer of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America argued that Deuteronomy 12-26 borrowed whole sections from the earlier text of Exodus 21-23. The exhortation of Deuteronomy 28:9 to walk in God's ways echoes God's injunction to Abraham in Genesis 17:1 and reflects a recurring theme in the discourse of Moses in Deuteronomy 5:30, 8:6, 10:12, 11:22, 19:9, 26:17, and 30:16. While Leviticus 12:6-8 required a new mother to bring a burnt offering and a sin offering, Leviticus 26:9, Deuteronomy 28:11, and Psalm 127:3-5 make clear that having children is a blessing from God. Genesis 15:2 and 1 Samuel 1:5-11 characterized childlessness as a misfortune, and Leviticus 20:20 and Deuteronomy 28:18 threaten childlessness as a punishment. The curses in Deuteronomy 28:15-68 run in parallel with the tocheichah curses of Leviticus 26:14-38. Deuteronomy 28:22 warned, the Lord will strike you with blight and mildew, Hebrew, Vashdafan Uve'arakin. And in Amos 4:9, the 8th century BC prophet Amos condemned the people of Israel for not returning to God after God scourged you with blight and mildew, Hebrew, Vashdafan Uve'arakin. Deuteronomy 28:62 foretold that the Israelites would be reduced in number after having been as numerous as the stars, echoing God's promise in Genesis 15:5 that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven. Similarly, in Genesis 22:17, God promised that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands on the seashore. In Genesis 26:4, God reminded Isaac that God had promised Abraham that God would make his heirs as numerous as the stars. In Genesis 32:13, Jacob reminded God that God had promised that Jacob's descendants would be as numerous as the sands. In Exodus 32:13, Moses reminded God that God had promised to make the patriarchs' descendants as numerous as the stars. In Deuteronomy 1:10, Moses reported that God had multiplied the Israelites until they were then as numerous as the stars. And in Deuteronomy 10:22, Moses reported that God had made the Israelites as numerous as the stars. The parashah is discussed in these modern sources. The 20th century scholar Peter Craigie, formerly of the University of Calgary, saw in Deuteronomy 11:26-29:1 the following chiastic structure centered on the specific legislation, stressing the importance of the blessing and curse contingent upon obedience to the legislation both in the present and in the future. A. The blessing and curse in the present renewal of the covenant, Deuteronomy 11:26-28. B. The blessing and curse in the future renewal of the covenant, Deuteronomy 11:29-32. C. The specific legislation, Deuteronomy 12:1-26:19. B1 The blessing and curse in the future renewal of the covenant, Deuteronomy 27:1-26. A1 The blessing and curse in the present renewal of the covenant, Deuteronomy 28:1-29:1. Professor Benjamin Sommer of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America argued that Deuteronomy 12-26 borrowed whole sections from the earlier text of Exodus 21-23. Deuteronomy 27:3, as well as Exodus 3:8 and 17, 13:5, and 33:3, Leviticus 20:24, Numbers 13:27, and 14:8, and Deuteronomy 6:3, 11:9, 26:9 and 15, and 31:20, describes the land of Israel as a land flowing with milk and honey. Similarly, the Middle Egyptian, early 2nd millennium BCE, tale of Sinuah Palestine described the land of Israel, or, as the Egyptian tale called it, the land of Yah. It was a good land called Yah. Figs were in it and grapes. It had more wine than water. Abundant was its honey, plentiful its oil. All kind of fruit were on its trees. Barley was there in emmer, and no end of cattle of all kinds. The exhortation of Deuteronomy 28:9 to walk in God's ways echoes God's injunction to Abraham in Genesis 17:1 and reflects a recurring theme in the discourse of Moses in Deuteronomy 5:30, 8:6, 10:12, 11:22, 19:9, 26:17, and 30:16. While Leviticus 12:6-8 required a new mother to bring a burnt offering and a sin offering, Leviticus 26:9, Deuteronomy 28:11, and Psalm 127:3-5 make clear that having children is a blessing from God. Genesis 15:2 and 1 Samuel 1:5-11 characterized childlessness as a misfortune, and Leviticus 20:20 and Deuteronomy 28:18 threaten childlessness as a punishment. The curses in Deuteronomy 28:15-68 run in parallel with the tocheichah curses of Leviticus 26:14-38. Deuteronomy 28:22 warned, "The Lord will strike you with blight and mildew," Hebrew, Vashtafan Uvei. And in Amos 4:9, the 8th century BC prophet Amos condemned the people of Israel for not returning to God after God scourged you with blight and mildew, Hebrew, Vashtafan Uvei. Deuteronomy 28:62 foretold that the Israelites would be reduced in number after having been as numerous as the stars, echoing God's promise in Genesis 15:5 that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven. Similarly, in Genesis 22:17, God promised that Abraham's descendants would as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands on the seashore. In Genesis 26:4, God reminded Isaac that God had promised Abraham that God would make his heirs as numerous as the stars. In Genesis 32:13, Jacob reminded God that God had promised that Jacob's descendants would be as numerous as the sands. In Exodus 32:13, Moses reminded God that God had promised to make the patriarchs' descendants as numerous as the stars. In Deuteronomy 1:10, Moses reported that God had multiplied the Israelites until they were then as numerous as the stars. And in Deuteronomy 10:22, Moses reported that God had made the Israelites as numerous as the stars. In some biblical translations, chapter 28 of Deuteronomy ends with Deuteronomy 28:69. These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Reading therefore that the covenant made or renewed at Moab was the one detailed in the preceding chapters of Deuteronomy. In the majority of modern texts, however, these words form verse 1 of chapter 29. Charles Ellicott argued that the Hebrew Bibles which add this verse to the previous chapter and begin Deuteronomy 29 at the second verse cannot be right in so doing. For though the pronoun these in Hebrew has nothing to determine whether it belongs to what precedes or to what follows, yet the context shows that the covenant is described in Deuteronomy 29, not in Deuteronomy 28. Similarly, John Gill argued that the words of the covenant are not what go before, but follow after, in the next chapters, to the end of the book. Some scholars who follow the documentary hypothesis find evidence of three separate sources in the parashah. Professor Richard Elliott Friedman, of the University of Georgia, attributed Deuteronomy 26:115 to the original Deuteronomistic law code, DTN. He attributed Deuteronomy 26:16, 28:35, 28:38-62, and 28:69, 29:8 to the first, Josianic edition of the Deuteronomistic history. And he attributed Deuteronomy 28:36, 37, and 28:63, 68 to the second, exilic edition of the Deuteronomistic history. According to Maimonides and Sefer Hachanuk, there are 3 positive and 3 negative commandments in the parashah. To make the declaration on bringing the first fruits. To make the tithe declaration. Not to eat the second tithe while unclean, even in Jerusalem, until it has been redeemed. Not to eat the second tithe while mourning. Not to spend redemption money of the second tithe for anything but food and drink. To imitate God's good and upright ways. The Passover Haggadah, in the Majid section of the Seder, quotes and interprets Deuteronomy 26:5-8. The Haggadah interprets the report of Deuteronomy 26:5, often translated as "a wandering Aramean was my father," to mean instead that Laban the Aramean tried to destroy Jacob. Next, the Haggadah cites Genesis 47:4, Deuteronomy 10:22, Exodus 1:7, and Ezekiel 16:6-7 to elucidate Deuteronomy 26:5. The Haggadah quotes Genesis 47:4 for the proposition that the Israelites had sojourned in Egypt. The Haggadah quotes Deuteronomy 10:22 for the proposition that the Israelites started few in number. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 1:7 for the proposition that the Israelites had become great and mighty. And the Haggadah quotes Ezekiel 16:6-7 to elucidate the report in Deuteronomy 26:5 that the Israelites had nonetheless become numerous. Next, the Haggadah cites Exodus 1:10-13 to elucidate the report in Deuteronomy 26:6 that the Egyptians dealt ill with us the Israelites, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 1:10 for the proposition that the Egyptians attributed evil intentions to the Israelites or dealt ill with them. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 1:11 for the proposition that the Egyptians afflicted the Israelites. And the Haggadah quotes Exodus 1:13 for the proposition that the Egyptians imposed hard labor on the Israelites. Next, the Haggadah cites Exodus 2:23-25, Exodus 1:22, and Exodus 3:9 to elucidate the report in Deuteronomy 26:7 that we cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice, and saw our affliction, and our toil, and our oppression. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 2:23 for the proposition that the Israelites cried to God. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 2:24 for the proposition that God heard the Israelites' voice. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 2:25 for the proposition that God saw the Israelites' affliction, interpreting that affliction as the suspension of family life. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 1:22 to explain the Israelites' travail, interpreting that travail is the loss of the baby boys. And the Haggadah quotes Exodus 3:9 to explain the Israelites' oppression, interpreting that oppression is pressure or persecution. Next, the Haggadah cites Exodus 12:12, Exodus 9:3, 1 Chronicles 21:16, Deuteronomy 4:34, Exodus 4:17, and Joel 3:3 to elucidate the report in Deuteronomy 26:8 that the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 12:12 for the proposition that God took the Israelites out of Egypt, not through an angel, not through a seraph, not through an agent, but on God's own. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 9:3 to elucidate the term a mighty hand in Deuteronomy 26:8, interpreting the mighty hand to mean the plague of pestilence on the Egyptian livestock. The Haggadah quotes 1 Chronicles 21:16 to elucidate the term an outstretched arm in Deuteronomy 26:8, interpreting the outstretched arm to mean the sword. The Haggadah quotes Deuteronomy 4:34 to elucidate the term great terribleness in Deuteronomy 26:8, interpreting the great terribleness to mean the revelation of the Shekinah or divine presence. The Haggadah quotes Exodus 4:17 to elucidate the term signs in Deuteronomy 26:8, interpreting the sign to mean the staff of Moses. And the Haggadah quotes Joel 3:3 to elucidate the term wonders in Deuteronomy 26:8, interpreting the wonders to mean the blood. The Haftorah for the parashah is Isaiah 60:1-22. The Haftorah is the sixth in the cycle of 7 Haftorah of consolation after Tisha B'Av, leading up to Rosh Hashanah. A connection to the parashah appears in Deuteronomy 26:16-19, where God says that the Israelites are God's special treasure, while in Isaiah 60, we read about the light of the people. Vassal treaties of Esarhaddon. Leviticus 26:3-38, blessings and curses. Joshua 24:2-13, recited history of Israel. 2 Kings 6:25-30, cannibalism. Isaiah 9:19, cannibalism. Jeremiah 19:9, parents eating children. Ezekiel 5:10, parents eating children. 6:5, unburied carcasses. Zechariah 11:9, cannibalism. Psalms 1:1-6, blessings and curses. 13:3, heart. 19:9, heart. 78:24, God provided food. 146:8, Ibs. Lamentations 4:10, mothers eating children. Nehemiah 9:5-37, recited history of Israel. The Temple Scroll 18-19. Dead Sea Scroll 11Q=11Q19,20. Land of Israel, 2nd century BCE. In Gaza Vermes. The complete Dead Sea Scrolls in English, pages 190, 195. New York, Penguin Press, 1997. ISBN 0-7139-9131-3. Philo. Allegorical Interpretation 3 hours 11 minutes and 36 seconds, 35:107, on the posterity of Cain in his exile 8:24, 24:84, 29:99, on the unchangeableness of God 34:156, who is the heir of divine things. 310, 15:76, 51:250, on flight and finding 22:123, on dreams, that they are God sent 134:193, 2:40:263, 41:272, the special laws 234:36, on the virtues 8:47, 21:106, on rewards and punishments 21:127, 22:131, Flaccus 20:167. Alexandria, Egypt, early 1st century CE. In Example the Works of Philo, complete and unabridged, new updated edition. Translated by Charles Duke Young, pages 54, 62, 134, 140-41, 171, 276, 282, 297, 332, 382, 407, 588-89, 644, 650, 676, 739. Peabody, Massachusetts, Hendrickson Publishers, 1993. ISBN 0-943575-93-1. Josephus. The Wars of the Jews, 6:3:35. Circa 75 CE. In Example the Works of Josephus, complete and unabridged, new updated edition. Translated by William Whiston, pages 737-38. Peabody, Massachusetts, Hendrickson Publishers, 1987. ISBN 0-913573-86-8. Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews 4:8:18. 22, 31, 44. Circa 93 to 94. In example, the works of Josephus, complete and unabridged, new updated edition. Translated by William Whiston, pages 118 to 19, 121, 124. Peabody, Massachusetts, Hendrickson Publishers, 1987. ISBN 0-913573-86-8. Mishnah Masrad 1:1-5:8, Maser Shani 1:1515, Bikurin 1:13:12, Pesachim 10:4, Megillah 2:5, 3:6, Soda 7:1, 5, 8, 9, 10, Makkot 3:14, Middad 3:4. Land of Israel, circa 200 CE. In example, the Mishnah, a new translation. Translated by Jacob Neusner, pages 120 to 47, 166 to 75, 250, 319, 321, 457 to 59, 464, 619, 878. New Haven, Yale University Press, 1988. ISBN 0-300-05022-4. Sefer Deuteronomy 297:1-303:11. Land of Israel, circa 250 to 350 CE. In example, Sefer Deuteronomy, an analytical translation. Translated by Jacob Neusner, Volume 2, pages 269 to 285. Atlanta, Scholars Press, 1987. ISBN 1-55540-145-7. Tosefta Pia 1:1, Sheviat 7:17, Maser Shani 5:23, 25 to 27, Bikurim 1:1, 2:16, Megillah 3:39-40, Soda 7:10, 17, 19, 22, 8:1, 9, 13:1, Bavakama 7:6, 7. Land of Israel, circa 250 CE. In example, the Tosefta, translated from the Hebrew, with a new introduction. Translated by Jacob Neusner, Volume 1, pages 47, 238 to 40, 329 to 30, 345 to 53, 653, 862 to 65, 867 to 68, 871, 884, Volume 2, page 987. Peabody, Massachusetts, Hendrickson Publishers, 2002. ISBN 1-56563-642-2. Jerusalem Talmud, Barakat 54b, Pia 31b, 47b, 69b, 73b, Sheviat 33a, Teramoth 71b, Masra 26a, 27b, Maser Shani 12b, 13b, 52b, 56b, 57a, 58a, Orla 20a, Bikurim 1 at 26b, Shabbat 24a, 67a, 74a, 92a, Pesachim 84b, Yoma 51b, 53ab, Sukkah 28b, Tanit 5a, 7a, 17a, Yevamot 68a, Ketubot 48, 50b, Soda 24b, 31b, 35a, 37a, 38b, Makkot 6a, 11a, Shavuot 4a, 17a, 23a, Avodah 25b. Tiberias, Land of Israel, circa 400 CE. In example, Talmud Yerushalmi. Edited by Chaim Molinowitz, Yisroel Simcha Shor, and Mordecai Marcus, volumes 2 to 3, 6a, 8 to 10, 12, 13 to 15, 19, 21 to 22, 30 to 32, 36 to 37, 46, 48 to 49. Brooklyn, Missouri Publications, 2006 to 2020. And in example, the Jerusalem Talmud, a translation and commentary. Edited by Jacob Neusner and translated by Jacob Neusner, Tzvi Zahavi, B. Barry Levy, and Edward Goldman. Peabody, Massachusetts, Hendrickson Publishers, 2009. ISBN 978-1-59856-528-7. Genesis Rabbah 115, 13:6, 22:10, 33:6, 60:13, 73:8. Land of Israel, 5th century. In example, Midrash Rabbah, Genesis. Translated by Harry Friedman and Maurice Simon, Volume 1, pages 13, 102, 189 to 90, 265 to 66, Volume 2, pages 536, 670, 672, 752, 828, 896 to 97, 951. London, Sonsino Press, 1939. ISBN 0-90068938-2. Babylonian Talmud, Barakat 5a, 6a, 15b, 24a, 35b, 40b, 56a, 57a, 63b, Shabbat 25a, 31b, 55b, 138b, Eruvin 55b, Pesachim 24a, 36b, 49b, 70b, 109a, 116a, Yoma 5b, 13b, 52b, 74b, Sukkah 40b, 46b, 47b, Beitzah 35b, Rosh Hashanah 12b, 15a, Tanit 2a, 3b, 8b, 9b, Megillah 10b, 11a, 16b, 20b, 24b, 25b, Monkatan 15b, Chagiga 3a, 4b, 7a, 12b, 18b, Yevamot 63b, 73a, 74b, 103a, Ketubot 111b, 12a, Nidarim 22a, 36b, 41a, 84b, Soda 17a, 32a, 33b, 35b, 36a, 37a, 38a, 39b, 47a, 48a, 49a, Gittin 47b, 48a, 56a, 57b, 58a, 81a, Kiddushin 2b, 26a, 66b, Bava, 32b, 82a, 116b, Bava Metzia 11b, 52b, 59b, 98, 96a, 107a, Bava Butra 25b, 26b, 27a, 81a, 82a, 89a, 136b, Sanhedrin 7a, 11b, 28b, 39b, 44a, Makkot 7b, 13b, 16b, 17b, 18b, 19b, 22b, 24a, Shavuot 35a, 36a, 39a, Avodah Zarah 5b, 19b, 52b, 55a, Harayat 12a, Zebachim 16a, 58, 54b, 60b, 61b, 99b, 101a, Menashot 35b, 61b, 82a, 84b, 103b, Chulun 16a, 18a, 89a, 120b, 21a, 131b, 136a, Bikhorat 41a, Harakan 11a, Tamura 3b, 10a, 21a, Karitot 11a, Nidda 51b, Sasanian Empire, 6th century. In Example Talmud Bavli. Edited by Yisroel Simchashor, Chaim Malinowitz, and Mordecai Marcus, 72 volumes. Brooklyn, Missouri Publications, 2006. Deuteronomy Rabbah 7:17. Land of Israel, 9th century. In Example Midrash Rabbah, Leviticus. Translated by Harry Friedman and Maurice Simon. London, Sonsino Press, 1939. ISBN 0-90068938-2. Rashi. Commentary. Deuteronomy 26-29. Troyes, France, late 11th century. In Example Rashi. The Torah, with Rashi's commentary translated, annotated, and elucidated. Translated and annotated by Israel Zvi Herchik, Volume 5, pages 267 to 302. Brooklyn, Missouri Publications, 1997. ISBN 0-89906-037. Rashbam. Commentary on the Torah. Troyes, early 12th century. In Example Rashbam's commentary on Deuteronomy, an annotated translation. Edited and translated by Martin Alakshin, pages 147 to 63. Providence, Rhode Island, Brown Judaic Studies, 2004. ISBN 1-930675-19-4. Judah Halavine. Kuzari. 255, 311. Toledo, Spain, 1130 to 1140. In Example Jehudah Halavine. Kuzari, An Argument for the Faith of Israel. Introduction by Henry Sloninsky, pages 116 to 17, 144, 148. New York, Schocken, 1964. ISBN 0-8052-0075-4. Abraham ibn Ezra. Commentary on the Torah. Mid-12th century. In Example ibn Ezra's Commentary on the Pentateuch, Deuteronomy, Devarim. Translated and annotated by H. Norman Strickman and Arthur M. Silver, Volume 5, pages 188 to 212. New York, Menorah Publishing Company, 2001. ISBN 0-932232-10-8. Letter from Ephraim ben Isaac to Moses. Egypt, 12th century. In Mark R. Cohen. The Voice of the Poor in the Middle Ages, an anthology of documents from the Cairo Genizah, 72. Princeton University Press, 2005. ISBN 0-6910926-2-1. Citing in a request for charity the reference of Deuteronomy 26:11 to the stranger who is in your midst. Maimonides. Mishnah Torah, Introduction, 26. Cairo, Egypt, 1170 to 1180. Maimonides. Mishnah Torah, Hilchot Matnot Aniyim, the Law of Gifts to the Poor, Chapter 6, Halachah 7. Egypt, circa 1170 to 1180. In Example Mishnah Torah, Sefer Zurim, the Book of Agricultural Ordinances. Translated by Eliyahu Tugger, pages 156 to 57. New York, Maznaim Publishing, 2005. ISBN 1-885220-49-9. Maimonides. Letter to Obadiah the Proselyte. Spain, 12th century. In Example, a treasury of Jewish letters, letters from the famous and the humble. Edited by Franz Kobler, Volume 1, pages 194 to 96. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 1953. Hezekiah ben Manoah. Hizkuni. France, circa 1240. In Example, Chizkiyahu ben Manoach. Chizkuni, Torah Commentary. Translated and annotated by Eliyahu Monk, Volume 4, pages 1178 to 91. Jerusalem, Top Publishers, 2013. ISBN 978-1-60280-261-2. Sefer Hachanuk, Commandments 606 to 11. Spain, 13th century. In Example, Sefer Hanoch, the Book of Mitzvah Education. Translated by Charles Wengroth, Volume 5, pages 414 to 31. Jerusalem, Feldheim Publishers, 1988. Nachmanides. Commentary on the Torah. Jerusalem, circa 1270. In Example, Ramban, Nachmanides Commentary on the Torah, Deuteronomy. Translated by Charles B. Chavel, Volume 5, pages 307 to 30. New York, Shiloh Publishing House, 1976. ISBN 0-88328-010-8. Baya ben Esher. Commentary on the Torah. Spain, early 14th century. In Example, Midrash Rabbeinu Bachia, Torah Commentary by Rabbi Bachia ben Esher. Translated and annotated by Eliyahu Monk, Volume 7, pages 2679 to 717. Jerusalem, Lambda Publishers, 2003. ISBN 965-7108-45-4. Isaac ben Moses Aramat. Akadaj Yitzhak, The Binding of Isaac. Late 15th century. In Example, Yitzhak Aramat. Akidat Yitzhak, Commentary of Rabbi Yitzhak Aramat on the Torah. Translated and condensed by Eliyahu Monk, Volume 1, pages 881 to 93. New York, Lambda Publishers, 2001. ISBN 965-710836. Isaac Abravanel. Commentary on the Torah. Italy, between 1492 to 1509. In Example, Abarbanel, Selected Commentaries on the Torah, Volume 5, Devarim/Deuteronomy. Translated and annotated by Israel Lazar, pages 129 to 50. Brooklyn, Create Space, 2015. ISBN 978-15087211659. Obadiah ben Jacob Sforno. Commentary on the Torah. Venice, 1567. In Example Sforno, Commentary on the Torah. Translation and explanatory notes by Raphael Pelkovitz, pages 954 to 73. Brooklyn, Missouri Publications, 1997. ISBN 0-89906-268-7. Moshe Olchik. Commentary on the Torah. Saved, circa 1593. In Example Moshe Olchik. Midrash of Rabbi Moshe Olchik on the Torah. Translated and annotated by Eliyahu Monk, Volume 3, pages 1085 to 111. New York, Lambda Publishers, 2000. ISBN 965-7108-13-6. Avram Yehoshua Heschel. Commentaries on the Torah. Krakow, Poland, mid-17th century. Compiled as Chanikat HaTorah. Edited by Chanik Hainok Herzon. Pioneer, Poland, 1900. In Avram Yehoshua Heschel. Hanukkah's HaTorah, Mystical Insights of Rav Avram Yehoshua Heschel on Chumash. Translated by Avram Peretz Friedman, pages 312 to 19. Southfield, Michigan, Targun Press/Feldheim Publishers, 2004. ISBN 1-56871-303-7. Thomas Hobbes. Leviathan, 342. England, 1651. Reprint edited by C.B. Macpherson, pages 547 to 48. Harmondsworth, England, Penguin Classics, 1982. ISBN 0-14-043195-0. Haim Ben Adder. Or Haim. Venice, 1742. In Sha'ir Ben Adder. Or Hachaim, Commentary on the Torah. Translated by Eliyahu Monk, Volume 5, pages 1935 to 68. Brooklyn, Lambda Publishers, 1999. ISBN 965-7108-12-8. Samuel David Lozado, Shadal. Commentary on the Torah. Padua, 1871. In Example Samuel David Lozado. Torah Commentary. Translated and annotated by Eliyahu Monk, Volume 4, pages 1247 to 61. New York, Lambda Publishers, 2012. ISBN 965-524-067-3. Yehuda Aryeh Leibalter. Safat Emet. Korach Alwaria, G.R., Poland, before 1906. Excerpted in the Language of Truth, the Torah Commentary of Safat Emet. Translated and interpreted by Arthur Green, pages 323 to 28. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 1998. ISBN 0-8276-0650-8. Reprinted 2012. ISBN 0-8276-0946-9. John M. Poas Smith. The Deuteronomic Tithe. The American Journal of Theology, Volume 18, Number 1, January 1914, pages 119 to 26. Hermann Cohen. Religion of Reason, Out of the Sources of Judaism. Translated with an introduction by Simon Kaplan, introductory essays by Leo Strauss, pages 126, 152 to 53, 348. New York, Under, 1972. Reprinted Atlanta, Scholars Press, 1995. ISBN 0-7885-0102X. Originally published as Religion der Vernunft US den Quellen des Judentums. Leipzig, Gustav Fock, 1919. Alexander Allen Steinbach. Sabbath Queen, 54 Bible Talks to the Young based on each portion of the Pentateuch, pages 158 to 61. New York, Behrman's Jewish Book House, 1936. Joseph Ryder. The Holy Scriptures, Deuteronomy with Commentary, pages 236 to 74. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 1937. Thomas Mann. Joseph and His Brothers. Translated by Johnny Woods, page 788. New York, Alfred H. Knopf, 2005. ISBN 1-4000-4001-9. Originally published as Joseph und Seine Brüder. Stockholm, Berman Fischer Verlag, 1943. Delbert R. Hillers. Treaty Curses and the Old Testament Prophets. Rome, Pontifical Biblical Institute, 1964. Martin Buber. On the Bible, 18 Studies, pages 80 to 92, 122 to 30. New York, Schocken Books, 1968. Barnabas Lindars. Torah in Deuteronomy. In Words and Meanings, Essays presented to David Winton Thomas. Edited by Peter R. Ackroyd and Barnabas Lindars, pages 117 to 36. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press, 1968. ISBN 0-521-07270-0. Otto Weisfeld. Gilgal or Shechem. In Proclamation and Presence, Old Testament Essays in honor of Gwen Hinton Davies. Edited by John I. Durham and J. Roy Porter, pages 90 to 101. London, SCM Press, 1970. ISBN 0-334-01319-4. Jacob Milgrom. First Fruits, O.T. In the Interpreter's Dictionary of the Bible. Sup Volume, pages 336 to 37. Nashville, Tennessee, Abingdon, 1976. ISBN 0-687-19269-2. Peter C. Crady. The Problem of War in the Old Testament, pages 75, 87. Grand Rapids, Michigan, William B. Eerdmans Publishing Company, 1978. ISBN 0-8028-1742-4. Nehama Leibovitz. Studies in Devarim, Deuteronomy, pages 257 to 97. Jerusalem, The World Zionist Organization, 1980. Alan R. Millard. A Wandering Aramean. Journal of Near Eastern Studies, Volume 39, Number 2, April 1980, pages 153 to 55. Pinchas H. Pelley. Torah Today, A Renewed Encounter with Scripture, pages 225 to 28. Washington, D.C., B'nai B'rith Books, 1987. ISBN 0-910250-12X. Patrick B. Miller. Deuteronomy, pages 177 to 208. Louisville, John Knox Press, 1990. Mark S. Smith. The Early History of God, Yahweh and the Other Deities in Ancient Israel, pages 18, 128. New York, Harper San Francisco, 1990. ISBN 0-06-067416-4. A Song of Power in the Power of Song, Essays on the Book of Deuteronomy. Edited by Dwayne L. Christensen. Winona Lake, Indiana, Eisenbrauns, 1993. ISBN 0-931464-74-9. Judith S. Antonelli. Festivals and Tithes. In the Image of God, A Feminist Commentary on the Torah, pages 471 to 81. North Vale, New Jersey, Jason Aronson, 1995. ISBN 1-56821-438-3. Ellen Frankel. The Five Books of Miriam, A Woman's Commentary on the Torah, pages 286 to 91. New York, G. P. Putnam's Sons, 1996. ISBN 0-399-14195-2. Mark Gilman. God's Mailbox. In God's Mailbox, More Stories About Stories in the Bible, pages 99 to 104. New York, Morrow Jr. Books, 1996. ISBN 0-688-13169-7. Jack R. Lundbaum. The Inclusio and Other Framing Devices in Deuteronomy I-18 Vetus Testamentum, Volume 46, Number 3, July 1996, pages 296 to 315. W. Gunther Plott. The HaTorah Commentary, pages 489 to 99. New York, UAHC Press, 1996. ISBN 0-8074-0551-5. Jeffrey H. Tavo. The JPS Torah Commentary, Deuteronomy, the traditional Hebrew text with a new JPS translation, pages 238 to 77, 486 to 97. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 1996. ISBN 0-8276-0330-4. Walter Hamulka. God as Thy Rescue is the central message of the Seder ritual, the Midrash on Devarim 26 in its biblical context. European Judaism, Volume 30, Number 2, Autumn 1997, pages 72 to 85. Sorel Goldberg Loeb and Barbara Binder-Cadden. Teaching Torah, a Treasury of Insights and Activities, pages 329 to 34. Denver, ARE Publishing, 1997. ISBN 0-86705-04011. Susan Freeman. Teaching Jewish Virtues, Sacred Sources and Arts Activities, pages 4 to 6, 299 to 317. Springfield, New Jersey, ARA Publishing, 1999. ISBN 978-0-86705-045-5. Deuteronomy 26:8, 28:9. Richard D. Nelson. Deuteronomy. In the HarperCollins Bible Commentary. Edited by James L. Mays, pages 209 to 10. New York, HarperCollins Publishers, Revised Edition, 2000. ISBN 0-06-065548-8. Nancy Wexler-Azen. The Basket Ceremony of Gratitude and Hope. In the Women's Torah Commentary, New Insights from Women Rabbis on the 54 Weekly Torah Portions. Edited by Elise Goldstein, pages 371 to 76. Woodstock, Vermont, Jewish Likes Publishing, 2000. ISBN 1-58023-076-8. Lainey Blum-Kogan and Judy Weiss. Teaching HaTorah, Background, Insights, and Strategies, pages 342 to 47. Denver, ARE Publishing, 2002. ISBN 0-86705-054-3. Michael Fishbane. The JPS Bible Commentary, Haftarah, pages 304 to 10. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 2002. ISBN 0-8276-0691-5. Admiel Kosman. The Story of a Giant Story, The Winding Way of Og, King of Bashan in the Jewish Haggadic Tradition. Hebrew Union College Annual, Volume 73, 2002, pages 157 to 90. Robert Alter. The Five Books of Moses, a Translation with Commentary, pages 1004 to 22. New York, W. W. Norton and Company, 2004. ISBN 0-393-01955-1. Bernard M. Levinson. Deuteronomy. In the Jewish Study Bible. Edited by Adele Berlin and Mark Zvi Breitler, pages 423 to 33. New York, Oxford University Press, 2004. ISBN 0-19-529751-2. Professors on the Parashah, Studies on the Weekly Torah Reading, edited by Leib Moskowitz, pages 340 to 44. Jerusalem, Urim Publications, 2005. ISBN 965-7108-74-8. Hilary Lipka. Sexual Transgression in the Hebrew Bible. Sheffield Phoenix Press, 2006. ISBN 190-504-8343. Deuteronomy 20:28-29. W. Gunther Plott. The Torah, a Modern Commentary, Revised Edition. Revised Edition edited by David E. S. Stern, pages 1347 to 71. New York, Union for Reform Judaism, 2006. ISBN 0-8074-0883-2. Suzanne A. Brody. Curses. In Dancing in the White Spaces, The Yearly Torah Cycle and More Poems, page 108. Shelbyville, Kentucky, Wasteland Press, 2007. ISBN 1-60047-112-9. Hester Rees. Life is a Test, pages 245 to 46. Brooklyn, Shar Press, 2007. ISBN 1-4226-0609-0. James L. Kugel. How to Read the Bible, A Guide to Scripture, Then and Now, pages 246 to 47, 311 to 12, 345 to 49, 463, 508, 579. New York, Free Press, 2007. ISBN 0-74323586-X. David Lincecum. Greek Deuteronomy's Fever and Chills and Their Magical Afterlife. Vetus Testamentum, Volume 58, Number 4/5, 2008, pages 544 to 49. The Torah, A Women's Commentary. Edited by Tamara Koneske-Nazi and Andrea L. Weiss, pages 1191 to 216. New York, George A. Press, 2008. ISBN 0-8074-10810. Eugene E. Carpenter. Deuteronomy. In Zondervan Illustrated Bible Backgrounds Commentary. Edited by John H. Walton, Volume 1, pages 505 to 12. Grand Rapids, Michigan, Zondervan, 2009. ISBN 978-0-310-25573-4. Reuven Hammer. Entering Torah, Prefaces to the Weekly Torah Portion, pages 287 to 91. New York, Geffen Publishing House, 2009. ISBN 978-965-229-434-0. Shirley Idelson. In a New Country, Parashat Ki Savo, Deuteronomy 26:129:8. In Torah Queries, Weekly Commentaries on the Hebrew Bible. Edited by Greg Drinkwater, Joshua Lesser, and David Schneer. Forward by Judith Plasko, pages 259 to 62. New York, New York University Press, 2009. ISBN 0-8147-2012-9. Julie Cadwallader-Staub. Joy. In Face to Face, a Poetry Collection. Dream Seeker Books, 2010. ISBN 19310385-2X. Land of Milk and Honey. Edon Dershowitz. A Land Flowing with Fat and Honey. Vetus Testamentum, Volume 60, Number 2, 2010, pages 172 to 76. Naftali S. Cohen. The Memory of the Temple and the Making of the Rabbis, Introduction. Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania Press, 2012. ISBN 978-0812244571. Analysis of the Mishnaic retelling of the First Fruits Ceremony. William G. Dever. The Lives of Ordinary People in Ancient Israel, When Archaeology and the Bible Intersect, pages 46, 192 to 93. Grand Rapids, Michigan, William B. Eerdmans Publishing Company, 2012. ISBN 978-0-8028-6701-8. Shmuel Hertzfeld. The Joy of Selachot. In 54 Pickup, 15-minute inspirational Torah lessons, pages 284 to 89. Jerusalem, Geffen Publishing House, 2012. ISBN 978-965-229-558-3. Elise Goldstein. Do it today. What an interesting experience it would be if we looked upon Judaism every day as if it was brand new. The Jerusalem Report, Volume 25, Number 12, September 22, 2014, page 47. Shlomo Ruskin. Torah Lights, Devarim, Moses Bequeaths Legacy, History, and Covenant, pages 269 to 314. New Milford, Connecticut, Magid Books, 2014. ISBN 978-159-264-276-2. The Commentator's Bible, the Reuben J.P.S. Micro-OT Gedalot, Deuteronomy. Edited, translated, and annotated by Michael Karasik, pages 172 to 95. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 2015. ISBN 978-0-8276-0939-6. Jonathan Sachs. Lessons in Leadership, a weekly reading of the Jewish Bible, pages 275 to 80. New Milford, Connecticut, Magid Books, 2015. ISBN 978-1-59264-432-2. Jonathan Sachs. Essays on Ethics, a weekly reading of the Jewish Bible, pages 311 to 15. New Milford, Connecticut, Magid Books, 2016. ISBN 978-1-59264-449-0. Shai Held. The Heart of Torah, Volume 2, Essays on the Weekly Torah Portion, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, pages 260 to 69. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 2017. ISBN 978-0827612716. Stephen Levy and Sarah Levy. The JPS Rashi Discussion Torah Commentary, pages 171 to 73. Philadelphia, Jewish Publication Society, 2017. ISBN 978-0827612693. Pekka Pitkanen. Ancient Israelite Population Economy, GER, Toshav, Nokri, and Caritas Settler Colonial Categories. Journal for the Study of the Old Testament, Volume 42, Number 2, December 2017, pages 139 to 53. Ernst Wendland. Deuteronomy, Translation Notes. Orlando, Florida, Unfolding Word, 2017. Jonathan Sachs. Covenant and Conversation, a weekly reading of the Jewish Bible, Deuteronomy, Renewal of the Sinai Covenant, pages 219 to 51. New Milford, Connecticut, Magid Books, 2019. Jade Andrew Cowan. The Curse of the Law, the Covenant, and Anthropology in Galatians 3:10-14, an examination of Paul's use of Deuteronomy 27:26. Journal of Biblical Literature, Volume 139, Number 1, 2020, pages 211 to 29. Andrew Tobolowski. The Problem of Reubenite Primacy, New Paradigms, New Answers. Journal of Biblical Literature, Volume 139, Number 1, 2020, pages 27 to 45. Masoretic text in 1917 JPS translation. Hear the parashah chanted. Hear the parashah read in Hebrew. Hebrew and English translation. Commentaries